我目前的状态就中后期打法比以前提高了很多，就是还要慢慢努力。但是我们现在中后期还是打的不是很好，要慢慢努力。接下来我们要跟 Top 交手，他们的上单是一个非常强的上单，然后也是一个很有经验的上单吧，就争取跟他能打个5-5开就行了。
Well, I feel like he did more than just go even and scale with him. I feel like he just completely smashed that lane with the help of his team, of course.
Yep, and I just feel like it comes down to the confidence of team play. Ultimately, they're like, if we just go even, if I go even with my laner, we win the game. That's all it really is.
Yeah.
So as long as I don't relentlessly feed, there's nothing goes wrong there. So I feel like Suning Gaming have the right mindset of just recognizing, sure, it's not all about me. It's not all about the Shao show, night show. I just want to be able to play it even earlier on and then work well later on in the mid game. But it feels like this game, this series, just started off with just blasting them in the laning phase, so it might not be relevant here.
Yeah, pretty much. Because it was essentially that, as you said, he was talking about like the mid and late game. We need to try and get it together. We've been playing a bit better recently, but it's the team play that is really the focus for Suning Gaming in the early game. Like the amount of repeated ganks and also acknowledging exactly where TOP are going to be was really exceptional to watch.
Yes, because I wanted to see more of the Ashe pick come to fruition, but it feels like the game was ended so early on.
It was like the cherry on top.
We didn't really get to see her do too much, so we got to see Hawkshots catch out Zach's pathing, and they were able to play around Zach's pathing quite well and dive when he wasn't there, so that's a proper point. Here's the thing, I want to see what they can do with the pick because it's been a Fury special throughout his career. Third most played champion, highest win rate for him is 60%, pretty flat out. Sure, he's been on successful teams before, but his Ashe comes out above the rest. So I want to see if this works well in their mid game, into the late game for themselves, and if they want to pick it up and give, if it's just for the matchup,
sure,
Ashe into Caitlyn, are they going to bait it out? I wonder if that's going to be a priority going forward.
Yeah, my gut says that it would have done pretty well heading into the mid game because they had the setup. It was basically just the Sejuani and the Ryze combo, but on like the global scale, because you just come with the Ryze, Rune Prison, and it's just like bam, Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and then you're just locked down for forever.
Yeah, and it's usually the smarter teams that work so much better with the Ashe ulti, because when you're looking at NA, I'm sorry, I'm throwing you under the bus. Historically, we just see half a map through of Ashe arrow, and you're like, well, I don't know how you're going to hit that one. You didn't really set up properly for that one. But then when you see Ashe play in Korea, a lot of it is setting down control wards when you're looking around mid lane. So you get a strong Ashe ulti that's just honestly not that far away from the opponent. So it's difficult for them to see it through the terrain that you're throwing it across. And with the time that you give them, especially with Ryze, Rune Prison, that combination is super popular back in the day of being able to set down Rune Prison with an Ashe arrow and then just follow up. It's a great pick composition. It's just ridiculous that we don't get to see it because TOP is just falling in the lanes.
That's actually a great point, Res. Just thinking about how I see like Western Ashe ultimates go off and how I watch like, you know, Korean ones, because there's like one region is just like a sniper and they're judging win conditions. It's like, how far is my target going to move in the next 15 seconds? Like, well, is the wind is moving at around 50 miles an hour and I'm going to fire it. And it's just like it hits 1 out of 10 times. But then like in Eastern regions, you'll see it like it's just either point blank or like it's guaranteed to hit and it's follow-up CC, or like you just nail it, it's your engage, you go for a fight.
Yeah, and it's the difference of being able to say, yeah, sure, we can continue to toss out arrows just because it has a low cooldown, especially with Ultimate Ad. Or you can just set up so often, set up so properly that you just get consistent fights that work in your favor with Ashe ultis.
Yeah. I would like to see another Ashe, but we'll see as this champion select evolves, as TOP and Suning Gaming will be swapping sides. TOP now on the blue. It'll be a first pick of the Olaf, as it is the Xayah, the Tamkench, and a Ryze band from TOP, and Karma, Kog'Maw, and Galio from Suning Gaming.
Love that XX is immediately going towards the Olaf. He says, all right, I've been doing quite well in Olaf in the last series, especially up against EDG. Why not pick it up again? If Suning Gaming ever decide to just go cheesy and just hawk shot me time and time again, I at least have a faster clear time to get to my next destination. So Zach was just really rough for him, considering that how fast that game was.
And Suning Gaming, they look at this and it's like, well, just give me Sejuani again because I'm hacker. So lock that one in, lock down the Scion as well for Xiao Ao, or even Knight in the mid lane, could be flexed down there. And TOP will respond with an Alistar pick into the bottom lane for Phage and a Cassiopeia for Goong.
Okay, so TOP immediately showcasing that their one point of engage is going to be the Alistar. I wonder if their next few picks are going to be heavily towards utility. I wonder, just because Marin might go towards the Rumble. He's done it in the past. That's a strong team fighter, but they would lose a lot in terms of engage. That's why Jhin, to me, seems like the chill pick. Jin, we've already seen the pick once with SMLZ. It is literally a Chocho champion in the last split. He's made a name on that. And it's going into Caitlyn, which has been a proper matchup for Jin.
So potential right here. We've already seen the split by SMLZ. We have a bunch of Jin players in the LPL, such as Jin Zhao. Fiora will be a ban towards the top lane here against Marin, assuming that he will be looking for a split pusher here more than anything else.
But it seems like with the Fiora ban coming through, that TOP might have the option to go Varus AD carry, because Varus is significantly better and is still also good into the matchup into Caitlyn. So with Suning Gaming not focusing, just kidding,
It's gone.
banned it out. Lol.
Kill the point.
All right, move on.
TOP, they banned the Thresh on their side and looking towards their final ban here as well. We'll see if they target the support position again, and indeed they will. It will be a Braum ban against Yoon. So none of that alongside Caitlyn.
Yeah, already just going down at news saying, you know what, no Thresh, no Braum, no Tom Kench, what do you have? Now, response is probably going to be, you know what, maybe a Bard if I'm feeling spiritual.
If you're not feeling spiritual, what would you go for?
He's already hovering Shen, so it's a little bit, I'm not even going to go for it. Actually, that could be Xiao. That could be a Sion.
It could be.
Yeah, you know what?
And there could be another support at the end. Triple flex.
I will say, could be Ornn. Could be Ornn. I would love an Ornn. I think they would have a lot of frontliners in that sense, and they would be able to dive quite easily off that.
And they get to decide as well because TOP have to pick both their top laner and AD carry here as well. So Suning Game, if they do want to change the top lane matchup, they will get the chance to. And Marin, it's actually interesting. He doesn't get too many last picks, which is curious, but this is going to be one of the games where he does get a last pick, and if he goes Nard, then he's exactly picking the same pick that he would do if it was a priority pick.
Yeah, that would be true. But in this case, recognizing he's either going into the Shen or into the Sion pick, Mara's good into both. It's just ultimately up to his jungler to be near him, or at least warding for him, just so he doesn't get dived repeatedly. In this case, Cassiopeia is usually good counter pick into something like Arise, for instance. So you usually have the ability to rotate quite easily. That being said, mid-range, so there are good counter picks into it. So we'll have to see where the priority comes from.
True. Very true. It's the top lane, really, that 2 versus 2 that we were looking at last time around because it did not go very well at all in Game 1. Orianna will be the final pick for Suning Gaming. So that locks everything down. It will be Shen support, Sion top lane, Orianna in the mid lane.
A lot of good protection on the side of Suning Gaming. Having the Shen and Orianna shield means that Fury is going to be incredibly protected in the later on team fights, but also means that priority in the mid lane makes it easily able for Suning Gaming to move to the bottom side of the map and create that siege opportunity. So I wonder how TOP is going to work this around and help their bottom side of the map, recognizing that Suning Gaming have the skirmish and have siege potential and have the range.
They need to help up, but they also need to make sure that top lane doesn't collapse like it did last time around because Marin, when he started grouping, he was already super far behind. So even though they were going for those plays, it was on top of the miscoordination that was happening in the fight, he was also just far behind. So need to not lose the early game here and actually try and test the mid game and late game that Suning Gaming. Even Xiao was even talking about himself, saying that maybe a little bit 50-50 here and there, but we didn't even get to see it because the game ended by the early game.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why immediately challenge on TOP. Just work with what you're good at. This composition, great towards jungle and top side. So look towards Sion, try and bully him. Get it. I wonder what his pathing is going to be since the TOP is on blue side. They could go, I would say Raptor start. We have seen a Raptor start so he can get low, go to red buff, and then find himself top side really early on for a dive, for just a gank.
Yeah.
That would be a good initial start for TOP. It'd make his pathing so much faster than Sejuani's, so she wouldn't be able to look for a defense if she tries to.
Let's see if that will be his initial pathing and just trying to protect that top side of the map because he did get the priority on Olaf at the end of the day. Has been exceptionally strong recently in the LPL, so let's see if TOP can actually utilize this pick.
Yeah, this is the best thing for the laners, the best pick that is, because everyone can just start in lanes. If you are TOP, feel liberated that Marin can just start out in his own lane, and the bottom lane just gets to get the first push.
Well, Raz, we're driving onto the rift for Game 2 here between TOP and Suning Gaming. Can TOP make their rise back to power and try and make it into playoffs? It starts here.
Hey, you know what?
What's that?
You can't get killed or at least lose summoners in the level 1 if everyone is there to protect you. Top line,
That's true.
protected by just about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members. Actually 7 if you count in Shen.
Yep, many people there. Can't get caught out on this one. That's another thing that we forgot to mention because the level 1 was disastrous. That Vladimir having to take Sanguine Pool level 1. That's a lot on the way pings. Knight's going to spot Goon coming in here, and this is going to be the collapse coming in. He's in the middle of 3 people, has to flash out of this one. Fury also turns up. Nice double taunt into this one onto TOP. They want to evacuate the premises right now. Hacker over the wall, gets the smash down. Flash after. Caitlyn gets first blood. This has turned into a complete fiesta in the mid lane. What is going on? Fury is dead. A 1-for-1 trade. Knight getting chased down as well, and now everyone else will just disperse.
That is insane. And it starts with them trying to get right on top of Knight just because he was in the bush. 2 members of Sinning Gaming, you could, I guess, debate that they were caught out because they all linned as well. It's going to be really bad for XX as he comes back onto the map just because he's going to start off much later than the Sejuani.
Holy moly. All right, I just want to count the summoners that were burnt in that level 1 as well because Hacker, no flash on Knight, no flash on Fury. That's going to be Ignite on Phage, flash on Goong, flash on XX.
Yeah, Fury's going to be feeling burned on this one. He goes back into the lane. At least he gets himself a dagger off that because he got a kill, but he has no summoners. So just hope he doesn't make a mistake in the lane going up against an Alistar.
Yeah, just try and put that pressure down onto Chocho right here. And Hacker, he is pretty low. I feel like he didn't recall after that initial engage as well, so we'll have to just go for 2 camps and then go back to base.
Also just didn't get a leash. That's the biggest one. That the Sejuani does need the leash. XX does not. So the fact that Sedge went for the 2-camp clear, immediately basing, goes back onto the map, gives Olaf a good pace. That, you know what, sure, he got onto the map a lot later, but he doesn't have to base because he's at low HP because he gets the extra attack speed.
And the fact that he did start on bot side like you were predicting Raz, so he'll move towards the top side of the map and be able to cover for Marin and also the mid lane, so he's not going to just fall super far behind. And Marin is already getting the better of that matchup as well, not into Sion.
The only awkward point is just going to be timing. Sure, going Raptors red and then going to the top side, the big thing on that is clear speed so you can be top side for the gank. But the way Xiao Al is playing it, he's going to be at his tower by the time Olaf even gets there. So change of plans for Olaf. He might just be farming out, go to his wolf camp, and then find himself maybe looking mid, maybe going for scuttle trap.
Yeah, we'll track him closely. Knight's coming down with a early control ward into the bottom side of mid lane. In with that early recall as well off the back of that massive skirmish in the mid lane, the big old ARAM that happened.
Yeah, and I don't think that control ward is going to get cleared anytime soon, just because Fury should have a strong side with the Sejuani leaning towards that direction. Olaf is going to be top side for a little bit, so that control ward is going to have a lot of value.
And Hacker will go back into his jungle now, has also picked up his blue buff, and goes on to his Merkle as well. So we'll just see both junglers basically farming it out. Olaf did indeed go for the crab and is now pathing towards the top side. Maybe even looking for this invade onto Krugs as well, looking for a deep ward perhaps.
And this is the great thing about Olaf and Skarner, is that they are much faster at being able to take Krugs, especially up against... Sejuani's fine, that's why she's okay in this meta, but compared to like Jarvan and Kha'Zix, they don't want to even touch Krugs.
Well, Hacker has found XX, but it might be the other way around. We'll see how this one works out, because the Krugs are also getting involved in this one. XX is very low, and now we'll have to back it away. He does not have the flash, so there's no getting out of this one. He just assumed he would be better in the prolonged trade.
Yeah, he assumed that case, and he assumed he didn't need Marin. Marin didn't even move with him. So it was Sion getting the move first. Sure, Sion didn't have mana, but if that went long enough, then that would have been even better for Sinning Gaming.
Bot lane, Yun gets the engage off, but likewise, Phage does the same onto Fury. Flash onto him, knowing that he doesn't have any summoners right here. There's so much damage coming in from the charge satchel. Yun will back away from this one, and Fury kind of swap sides with them.
That's what's rough. Going up against the Trishana Alistar combination means that you have to be aware of your summoner spells. You need your flash, you need your heal, because if Phage goes in for one headbutt pulverized combo, Chocho is going to follow up really quickly.
XX is already back onto the map and wants to make amends, runs into mid lane, he's got Predator running. Smite comes down, follows up the undertow, but Hacker with a counter gang.
Oh
and XX, he's underneath the tower, takes a tower shot, and Hacker puts him down.
All right, I'm looking at the player cams, and at the very least, he's not tilted enough to have his head in his hand. So thank God for that. I would be super tilted. I would walk off that stage.
I mean, he's got enough time since he's dead for the next 10 seconds.
Please, don't do this to him.
It's very unfortunate.
It's really, he's trying too hard. In this case, it's actually really hard to go for that gank. If it was a Ryze mid lane, sure. But it's a Cassiopeia. What damage did you think you were going to get underneath that tower if it's literally Cassio and Okay, Knight, that's fine. It's all right. But if it's literally Cassiopeia, that's the follow-up. So even if there was no Sejuani there, I'm questioning what he was even going to get out of that.
Essentially, XX went for the I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm all in play 3 times in a row, and now he's just 0-3, is significantly behind the Sejuani. And now look at this, you can take a look at Phage, looking for a gank into the mid lane, trying to make it happen, trying to salvage this early game. Let's see if he can do it. Knight, well, he has both summoners available, and he'll walk away.
I think his flash is just coming up, so that was
that small sliver.
Yeah, there we go.
There
now
we
it's
go.
up. So that was a good timing, actually. Really timing the flash on Knight well, but Knight just played the situation on him. So he recognized that there was a support missing on the bottom side of the map, or at least that there was pressure that he just needed to play backwards.
Olaf getting invaded on now. He will get the smite down onto his Merc Wolf, so we'll get away with that one, but Sejuani ticked away 2 of those small wolves.
Yeah, and this is just pure domination in the sense that Hacker now has much a faster clear time personally because he's got himself the Cinder Hulk, or at least the recipe for that.
Cinder, yeah.
So he's going to be able to counter jungle a little bit faster, meet up and pace on XX a little bit easier. The first movement from XX, I didn't even feel like that was a bad move going up to Krugs, because the benefit of having Olaf or Skarner is that you do have autonomy on those Krugs. You at least have the ability to do it quickly. Sejuani, as I said, okay at being able to do so. It's just really good timing on Hacker to find out, to head there immediately and guess on them.
Hacker looking for a gank in the top lane, doesn't land the ultimate, and Chower also misses his own. Marin playing this well, but it's still a 2 versus 1. A Hacker buys all the time that he can underneath this tower, but Marin transforms into Mega and will survive.
Really well done from Marin. He actually obliterated Sha'al's shield, which he was hoping that would be the finishing blow to the damage. So, you know what? No shield for Sion, no damage to follow up, so it's easy for Marin to fight back.
Very well played in that 2 versus 1 scenario, and also forces the flash out from both Xiao and Hacker right there. So trades a 1 for 2 flash and survives.
Yeah, he's going to have to get used to it. At this point, XX is just doubling down in the farming game, so he's at least somewhat relevant. Meaning that Marin is just going to be in these 1v2, 1v3 scenarios for a little bit, depending on if Hacker still wants to be topside.
What does that mean for the game? Well, right now we're basically even in gold. We've had a lot of action in this early game, to be honest, but TOP are not significantly behind Suning in the second game, which obviously just spells good news for them across the board. The fact that they haven't just completely snowballed it out of control in the reverse fashion. So bot lane going pretty well. Mid lane is behind in farm, but top lane is now actually ahead of the Sion, which was a stark difference in terms of game 1 to game 2.
Yeah, I would just say that the one thing that TOP does have to work on is what their primary point of engage is. Sure, you're going to look towards Alistar and say that's the point of which they're going to utilize in bottom side of the map, but if Olaf looks for a gank bottom lane or a dive bottom lane, Alistar is going to be the primary focus of engage. Shen can deal with that quite well. Shen can actually just taunt the Alistar and make him a non-factor. The follow-up is what I'm worried about. XX doesn't necessarily have the HP just yet and is under-leveled 2 levels behind to even look for that.
Oh, this is going to hurt. Marin chasing after. Flash over the wall from XX as well. He's chasing down underneath this tower. Wallop will trap him in place, and it will kill him before Yoon even arrives on the scene.
There we go. Good timing. And now Marin is doing well for himself. Already ahead in the CS market. But now that kill, that fight, that gank, that's going to mean so much for him. So TOP, you already talked about their bottom lane doing quite well. It seems like their top lane as well. Those are 2 points that are going to save XX.
And now mid lane even got that kill as well earlier in the game, so not doing too badly, about even, I would say, in terms of gold totals against Knight here. So TOP, everything else is going well apart from the jungle, and jungle is even now starting to catch up once again. So TOP, it's, as you said, basically just looking at what's next. Where's the engage come out? Will they be able to play these fights well? But that's not the end of that chapter, since it looks like Suning Gaming are moving towards the bot side of the map, looking to make a play themselves onto Inferno Dragon.
Yeah, because TOP still has good scaling with the Tristana and Cassiopeia, but they're going to still lose bit after bit in terms of the pushing war. So Fury and Yoon should do all right in that instance, but Knight's going to dictate the pace for Suning Gaming. So that entire Dragon, being able to take Infernal, was all done not only because of the base timings of Cassio and the top lane as well, but also because Orianna just had proper push, and so they were able to get the control wards down.
So first Inferno will go over to Suning Gaming. It will be a Mountain Dragon to follow this one up. So Suning will try and maintain control over the area. Just taking a look at some of these back timings as well into the item pickups. Tristana goes for double daggers and the BF sword. Bot lane, Fade getting chased back, but will be okay. Caitlyn just has the pickaxe, had to back on a kind of awkward back timing since she got killed earlier. Doesn't get the initial BF sword. And mid lane, pretty much core itemization coming out from the Cassiopeia now as well.
Sad face. Do you think Phage needs a back timing though? So after this wave, he should just back.
Yeah, he must have a lot of gold because the only item that he's picked up since the start of the game is mobility boots. So,
which was helpful for him to move mid lane if he was when he was trying for a roam, but he does need stats just for the laning.
Well, Marin lands the full combo here, even dodges the decimating smash, and we'll get a bunch of damage onto Xiao. But Sion, very tanky. He's already got double armor items, so he's going to tank most of that damage up.
Yeah, and the change up here for Marin is that he's gone towards fleet footwork. We've only touched on it this game. He has the extra attack speed, just being in the primary, precision primary.
Yep.
Oh, here we go, though. XX is jumping on this.
Red is activated, and Chocho's the one to lead the charge right now. Hacker's going to turn this one around, though, because Knight is coming into the fray. Yuna will back this one away. A flash out of the shockwave from Chocho. He's still going to die, courtesy of Yuna right there, and Hacker will back away. He's going to fall. Flash over the wall from Goong, and Yuna's thinking about jumping over himself, but we'll let him go. A 2-for-1 trade.
Interesting. I would say that was a good call from TOP, but really terrible execution, as we're just seeing the Choo-Choo train back to the top lane. Feels good. Good skin. But I would just immediately look to Chocho in that instance. They didn't need him to jump in. They just needed him to jump in to reposition, but not to add in the extra slow and damage. He used it for the extra slow, which means he was right on top of the damage of Hacker. Hacker turned straight on him. I'm sure we're going to see the replay from that. And that's why it was so easy for Suning Gaming to get the kill on him. Sure, he gets the flash off of Knight's ulti, but that doesn't matter when he's already now blown flash and is put at a 30% HP. So what's the damage following up here? Just look specifically at Chocho and his decision. Gets the slow, or at least attempts to, on Hacker, realizing that Sejuani doesn't get slowed. And then he's already at 30% HP before the fight really even happens. Had he just jumped to position rather than jump to try and get any bit of slow and damage down, then that's actually pretty good for the team. They even had Marin join the fight.
I was so confused when Yoon got the kill on Chocho as well. I was like, how did you do that? You're literally at Dragon Pit. He ignited him before he left. So the final tick of Ignite managed to kill him as, I think it was, Xiao Ao was coming in there as well, using like a full-blown ability. But last tick of Ignite, going to be better on that one. So Yoon will get the kill.
Honestly, the moment Chocho was at 50% HP in that fight, that was a lost fight for TOP because they needed to commit to a longer fight rather than a burst. There's no way they burst him down. Hacker, anyone else in that scenario, so it's just unfortunate. You know, lesson learned, hopefully.
Didn't work out, but the martyr of the team once again is also going to be XX, who died in that one. Currently holds 4 of the deaths on the team out of the total 5. And is still trying to recover. Did get a successful gank into the top lane, but now is still looking for plays.
Yeah, and this is when I come out with my XX defense, because this is just the state of Olaf.
You his attorney?
If you're an Olaf and if you're behind, you're just going to be dying alive.
Silence in the court because we've got gank in the mid lane. Goong backing towards his tower. And the shield out from Yoon as well, plus the teleport. Looking to line up this one, but he's been interrupted in the bottom lane. And that's going to be a kill, 1 versus 2. Knight will eventually get it, but last tower shot comes in. It's going to be close. He's poisoned. A 1-for-2 trade.
That was phenomenal. And it really did start with the cancellation of the bottom side of the map. Shen was getting chased down by Alistar. You have to believe it got canceled out from the Alistar headbutt pulverize.
Gotta be.
So we were just waiting on the Shen taunt. That would have been it. If the Shen taunt came through, that would have been a kill, and he would have actually taken the tower aggro as well, or at least he would have started. Sejuani wouldn't have had to take an extra tower. She would have immediately pieced out knowing the Shen was there. So, wow. Great job, great defense, TOP as a whole. Both Phage, take a look at this. You can see Alistar. I'm just looking at the minimap. I don't give a damn what's on the screen right now. As Alistar was just checking on the Shen. He was standing still.
Is it over the wall? It is.
Yes, it was. Really beautifully done.
So good synergy there between Goong and Phage. Cross map and allows to get the 1 versus 2, and the poison was just enough to finish him off.
Yep, cross map fist bump right there. Because honestly, Shen comes through, Hacker just flashes immediately. I don't need this power. So really well done. Now Goong just has so much free gold for himself.
That's really just unlucky for Suning Gaming because it was a pretty good executed dive as well. It's like the plan was there. You just have the Shen coming up with the taunt, kill him, everyone gets out alive, perfect, mid lane setup, you knock down the mid tower, everything's gravy. But it was all off of that headbutt, which may have just saved the game from TOP. Good job, Phage. It's all on you.
We're going to be asking a lot from him as the game goes on, since he's the really only point of engagement. XX you would think would be that kind of point. The thing with Olaf is that if he's ahead, he's there engaged because he just runs at the people. He can't do that for too long because he's going to get bursted, so that's hilarious.
Good undertow.
Good timing.
Good timing. Perfect timing, one might say. Marin's pushing in the bottom lane now, and that will be also met with Xiao, who's coming back into the bottom side. And then since he has announced it to the entire map that he is approaching the bottom lane, Marin will back away.
Keep going, because that does a lot of damage. Best thing about Xiao right now is just used his ulti purely just for the wave. He's not lost out on a lot of minions. Sure, he's about 30 CS behind, but it would have been a lot more. He's holding on to his TP. His TP's coming up in about 10 seconds.
Yep, that's long. And his ultimate will probably be up as well to match it because it has a very short cooldown, even though I believe he only has a 20 CDR right now, not knowing his runes. So he's going to get it back pretty shortly. Top lane though, we've gone into full Australia lanes. Yoon and Caitlyn going to be facing down Phage and Choo Choo. I definitely used one player name and one champion name, but don't worry about it. Hacker clearing out the wards in this jungle as well, and now it's a contest over the Rift Herald, which has already been started by TOP, and it's pretty much already down. Miasma's going to zone away the jungler. Yoon tries to step up, but the spike comes out from XX, and he will be the beneficiary.
There we go. Had it been a little more healthier, Suning Gaming would have been in position to contest, knowing that Cyan had TP. Just not a worthwhile fight for Suning Gaming with how late they realized.
With that first tower already going to TOP, plus the fact that they have the Herald in hand, they're in a situation where they might be able to make another tower fall here. If they picked up mid lane, that would be massive for TOP.
Yeah, that's why I would say the focus for them should be around Chocho, just because sure, you have a 3-kill Cassio in the mid lane, what that should mean is that she has priority mid, so that she can actually constantly look for trades onto the Orianna, knowing that she has Abyssal Mask, and she doesn't have much damage at all, Knight doesn't. So, that's great. She can move with the team. Chocho has Static Shiv onto Caitlyn, who doesn't have much underneath her, so that's full push priority in favor of Chocho. They should try and get this top lane tower.
That's what they're gunning for right now. Fury is standing by and just clearing out this minion wave. Hacker moving towards the mid lane right here, and currently Knight is getting a bit of damage onto this tower. It's quite low.
It's just weird base timings coming out of TOP.
Yeah.
Right now, they're losing a lot of minions off of it. Olaf needs to get his bot side. This is where it gets awkward. Olaf needs to get his red buff, maybe Raptors to keep up in experience. And Cassio, now that she's based, is going to have push on this wave. So they're kind of lose a lot of timing, which means that Tristana is just going to base now because they're not really expecting anything anytime soon. And that might even change the focus of what their objective is. Okay.
Oh, a double collapse comes in, and Marin just gets nowhere to go. Thrown left, thrown right, and ultimately taken down.
And that's just confusion in the comps, because at first you're thinking top side because we have so many control wards top lane, from mid to top lane. That's great. But because of the base timings, and because Dragon's coming up, you have mixed signals. Do we want to go for Dragon? Do we want to contest for that? Because that's an Infernal Dragon and Earth Dragon you're giving away. Or do we want to utilize our competition for top lane tower? So I guess Marin wasn't included into it, and so he went up way too early because XX didn't even take a single camp in this.
Didn't work out in the bottom side, and XX looking now towards this dragon that has just spawned. It is a mountain dragon. Phage, supportal combat in the brush.
Oh, they might go for a bottom lane fight here. TP coming through, Olaf and Cassio looking afterwards. Okay, I don't know.
Xiao Ao comes with the preemptive flash coming through, but he doesn't have the ultimate, so he might just have to turn and try and fight this one, but his team is quite far away. He does have Yoon coming into the bot lane, though. He should be able to survive long enough for the Shen to come in, look for the taunt, but he's again interrupted. It looked like another headbutt coming in from Phage. It will be a kill onto Xiao Ao.
You just gotta stop it at some point. Suning Gaming thought they could follow through with Shen once again, but Phage, assumedly, I was thinking it would be Chocho because he has his ulti. Shen was underneath his own tower, but I guess the tower got taken as well. So if it's that low, you don't have to worry about tower aggro. So Phage has been doing so much, and he hasn't even gotten the eyes of the observer.
I want to see that one again, but it's definitely not the buster shot since it, as Chocho still has it. So my CSI detection skills have told me that it's probably Phage. Again, second headbutt in the game that has just made another play for them work out.
This man
he's preventing the apocalypse is what he's doing.
He's actually just doing so well for this team. Every single time they're looking for a play, he's been supporting it in the opposite side of the map. True brother.
So in the game, we will get a chance to knock down the top tower, though, and at least respond with one tower. But TOP, at least still with another tower ahead of Suni Gaming, have an advantage in the early game. And TOP are on the brink of perhaps taking this game here, which is obviously what they need. If they don't win, as a reminder, every single game from here on out, they will not make playoffs. So this is do or die. Literally, this game, TOP have to win.
Yeah, they have to win this one. It's a best of 3, thankfully. So taking this victory will do great. You go into the next set and you still get that one, like these cushion periods. But because they lost the first game in this series, you really have to expect more from them. So already, I would say TOP are on the right path. Unfortunately, they utilized the Rift Herald bottom lane. I think it was running out because it's been on Olaf for a long time. They would have loved to have put it mid lane, but at least they can still utilize it. Say bottom lane, push it, and then have Marin rotate. He's actually just not rotating at all. I would love for him to move because Sion has to hold the wave. He's moving now.
Yeah, because Xiao was actually moving towards the mid lane there, so I think that's why Marin was initially choosing to stay bot to pressure with the Herald. So it's like if Xiao made the play mid lane and it didn't work out, then hey, we just got a tower or maybe 2. But yeah, now he's just going to meet the wave, so Marin should move.
But you should move when Xiao's not there, just because sure he's already essentially taken this wave. It allows Suning Gaming more time to work around mid. So let's say you push that one wave, you already have a wave that's crashing or a building wave. You move away towards the mid lane and you challenge Xiao to stay with the team and lose a lot of waves bottom side of the map.
Ooh, turn around from Fury, but this is a lot of damage coming out from the Cassiopeia. This time the Shen will arrive, but now he's just kind of fighting himself in the middle of 3 people. And this is going to be the chase down now. Another miasma comes out, Shadas comes through. We'll see if XX decides to continue chasing, but Yoon seems like he's home safe and dry, but Fury, he bit the dust.
Where is he going?
Into a wall currently. Marin's going to hop away from it, so no worries in the bot side of the map, but another pick onto Suning Gaming.
Yeah, right now Suning Gaming are rearing for a fight in the bot side of the map to get anything going for themselves just because Fury just got caught out. Just got caught out by the Cassiopeia top side. So really unfortunate for Suning Gaming that there's no protective measure. They've been trying, but Yoon just hasn't been successful this one.
TOP have been pretty good this game at just trying to force those plays, making the fights happen. And you know, criticism that we've had is even TOP have the right idea to get into a fight and it's mis-execution. It seems like the team isn't really on the same page, but a lot of these skirmishes have just been like 1v1s or 2v2s where it's actually pretty difficult to mess up because it's just down to mechanics.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that Suning Gaming are finding themselves caught in this time and time again, which is great for TOP because they can flex Goong's strength as a solo, as a duelist right now. So he's constantly being able to find alone time with Knight and Fury when you ordinarily wouldn't want that, or at least you wouldn't expect that. My biggest challenge for TOP is that you shouldn't necessarily expect these kills to be dished out for you. You don't have bottom or top lane tower to look to siege upon. Uh-oh, that's actually really bad.
That's very bad.
That's really bad. They're not going to start it immediately, so that's fair, that's fair.
That could have been very bad if the Olaf literally goes back to base in front of 4 members at the Baron.
Yep, because they can just start the Baron. They had the tanks to not essentially, their focus wouldn't be to burn it immediately, but they would be in position to just turn.
Yeah.
And Olaf wouldn't be there. So that's actually, don't do that in the future.
But again, they seem to get away with murder, you know? He goes back to base, Suning, all they do is clear off the walls, they back away. And TOP are able to step up once more. The fact that they have managed to accrue this early game advantage means they can make some of these errors that won't go unpunished, or won't go punished.
I think TOP overall, they're focusing towards Baron Widow too early. Mid lane tower is still up. They need to be able to get that down, which means Cassio's in the proper position, not at the right time, but I'm just talking about 1-3-1 so you can get these side lanes rolling for themselves. But because they've completely forgot about that and they've put so much focus towards Baron vision without necessarily having the tools to go for it, means that they're just giving Suning Gaming more time to pick up farms across the map.
Once again, they will resume position in the bottom lane, the Nara and Sion matchup. I'm sure they're excited about this one. And then moving back towards the mid lane now, the satchel charge on the tower. We'll be trying to knock this one over for TOP, but Suning Gaming already have the mid tower down.
It's good damage. Poor timing from Marin right now. He's in Mega Gnar. They would have wanted him to be in between, just like a little close to Mega Gnar, but now he's going to be exhausted by the time the next wave crashes mid.
Right now, they're really just after this blue. We're probably going to get this over to Cassiopeia. Indeed, they have to Gung. And maybe they'll move back towards the mid lane once again. But Marin is on the way back to base. So is Phage. It seems like these black timings are very staggered coming in from TOP. But nope, Marin's going to stay. And it's actually going to be the Tristana goes back to base.
I think he's getting himself a rapid fire cannon. I think Marin right now wants to see himself continuously on the side lane, which we've seen that from him before. There is a worry of that, meaning that you had a composition that's really strong in team fight, but now you're going up against a composition that's doing quite well for themselves. So with how this game is being stalled out, if TOP gets themselves into a point where they need the team fight and they lose just because they don't have a true frontliner, Alistar can get burnt just because he doesn't have true tank items. He has these supportive items. XX was far behind, but he's an Olaf. As the game goes on, it's really poor in terms of scaling. And it's going to be all on Marin to find those first situations, finding people planted on the wall, and being a front line for Chocho to walk up. He's got a Renan's Hurricane now, so he's going to just go side lane.
I'm pleased to announce that today's Zeo item coming in from Marin will be a Hurricane. It's not the rapid fire cannon, it's not the shift, but it is an engage perhaps in a... No, it's not. Xiao completely face plants the wall. You don't go through those things, mate. You need to go around them.
An experiment.
Experiment failed. But yeah, the Runan's Hurricane will allow him to charge up his rage meter very quickly if there are minions nearby, 3 times as fast.
That's true. At the very least, they were thinking about their side lane push. That's one thing.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of that right now.
He's pushed up that way very quickly. In fact, he's already at the top lane tower. Now Fury has to come and just deal with this annoying pest in the top lane Marin.
So their team, which was pretty decent in team fighting, right now is completely focused on side lane. So they're going to be a 1-4 composition. It's going to be a Gnar who's going to be focusing on Xiao, skirmish, or trying to get the tower.
Or also catching a hacker in the jungle as well. He'll flash away. Nice double knockup coming in from the Scion, but in comes Marin looking for the ultimate to come through. Lands it onto 2, onto Fury and Yoon. He jumps over the wall, but he's got to get chased down. Hacker there to try and defend him, but he's still getting chased out. Hacker will be the sacrificial lamb. He's still alive. Jumps over the wall. Finally, he's going to die. And Fury and Yoon are just all going to die underneath this tower. Knight by himself as well. 4 kills going over to TOP.
And the one sacrificial lamb of Phage doing so well, the 3-man knockup, tanking that tower for days. So didn't matter that the mid lane tower was still there. The pick works well and the dive works well.
He held that door until he finally died. And mid lane going to be pushed out by this Runan Hurricane. Nah, push this one in, move towards the Baron. And this is massive for TOP. 4 kills plus the Baron and a massive gold swing.
Yeah, long death timers. Cassiopeia known for real fast Baron burn. So right now, this is easy. It's gone.
TOP go back to base. An advantage in the mid game. We can see what that started off as a pick onto Tejani.
That's how annoying Miasma is. Did not get the opportunity to flash or get out of there just because it was right on top of her. Allows the entirety of TOP to get the damage on her and for the collapse to come through. Really strong flank coming in from Marin, and look at these blinking HP bars. Nice setup, and of course the damage from Chocho is going to follow. Resets on resets.
Yep, Sunny tried to retreat underneath their towers, in the middle of 2 towers no less, but TOP were able to take them out regardless. And now 6 kills on his Cassiopeia in the mid lane. Bot lane also pretty farmed up, 3.5 items plus the last Whisper. And now the mid tower is definitely going to go down, plus the banner command has been picked up.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a parade, taking down one, should be a second tower. Oh,
that was a Hex Flash coming in from Phage. They've also managed to catch out Yoon, who does not remotely look like a tank and explodes underneath his tower.
Yeah, they're not going to look towards this wave. They might look towards top lane just because the mid lane wave is way too far back. Unless they're patient. No? Patient people.
Nope, apparently not. Moving towards the top side of the map, and the Cannon Minion's already dead. So let's move to the top side, so we can take away this inner turret here and beat Sunny to the rotation, which they have done. So Sunny probably just going to sit behind the inhibitor tower now.
Their one banner of command minion died in the mid lane, and they already have a second one because it's Gnar who built the banner of command in the top lane. This Baron buff is getting some use out of it. What the heck?
Yep, Xiao's job right now is just to keep the aggro on him, not the tower. This is your job. Don't stand behind the tower. You have to stay. You have to stay in front. And so far they've done it. The Cannon Minion has been knocked away. As long as they get one more auto attack down from the Caitlyn, it will die.
Oh,
there's a good defense, and they've caught out Marin right now. Sunny gaming to get 1 kill, and they've completely diffused this push.
Split-second decision making. Hit the trap, immediately followed up with a Sejuani ulti, and you burn him down. Any second afterwards, and Marin would have been able to jump out of that freely. So really good defensive thinking just coming out of the Sunny gaming lineup.
As you were saying that, Marin just picked up a stopwatch. It's like, not again. It's not going to be me getting caught in the next one. If I step in the trap, I'm hitting the stopwatch. But that's really big for Sunny Gaming. TOP probably won't be able to get another push off of this Baron now. They'll go towards this Dragon, but most likely they're just going to go back to base.
Yeah, they'll base, but TOP will want to go towards the bottom side of the map right now. Getting a stopwatch is really strong just because, of course, he's probably thinking about getting GA at this point in time. But means that if he goes in for another dive, which they're going to need, I would assume, if they're going bottom side of the map for the inner turret, you can also just go for the mid lane inner turret with how often they've been diving. it's going to be feeling pretty nice just to be able to take the initial damage from the tower and be able to swap it up with your stopwatch.
But I will say, something we were talking about earlier, Suning Gaming, talking about their mid-game and late game. Now we get a chance, because TOP survived the early game. They were actually ahead in the early game moving into the mid-game. So now we actually get to see how Suning Gaming are in the mid-game and late game, especially from behind.
Yeah, I think their defense has been pretty decent from this point. We saw that one opportunity where they got the kill on Tamar, but also they're clear on Baron. Other than that one crucial pickoff was pretty slow-paced. TOP have been criticizing how they're utilizing this league just because that mid lane tower has been up for so long. But honestly, even with the criticism, kudos to them to just going for the dives regardless. So their dives were phenomenal considering just like that mid lane outer turret being up for so long.
Feels like they really are just kind of playing without fear right now. TOP are just making it happen. Flash over the wall. Oh, actually, flash away. Changed directions at the last second.
Yep.
He was charging that one up. He was like, nope, not going to go in on this one.
Someone smacking you from behind, you're like, all right, I can't commit to this. Can't do it.
Nice thing with Hex Splash is you can actually change the direction as you're charging.
My favorite thing with Hex Splash is if you're an Alistar in lane, you can zone them by just sitting on a minion wave, Hex Splashing, and be like, actually, I'm going to the side. I'm not even going towards you.
Yep. It's low cooldown, so you can continue to do that for forever in the laning phase. And again, Phage will just continue to sit at the side. He'll probably just leave his control ward up and say, well, I'm still here. You have to respect me.
Look at Knight right now and how he utilizes his Orianna ball. He has to utilize it to get the vision onto Phage. But if he does that, then with the wave coming in, it allows the entirety of TOP to press onto the turret and get free damage on it. Miasma being set down, there should be a free tower as long as Phage is being that annoyance to him.
As long as no one gets caught as well from Suning. Here comes the flank, the wide flank coming out, but Alistar is zoned away by Yoon. The two supports kind of eyeing each other, but the bottom tower will eventually fall to TOP. Again, another advantage going over to them. About 9,000 gold ahead now.
Right now, I think this entire early, or at least this mid game, has been off the back of Phage. Really strong play coming out of him. Good positioning as well. Because if he just came from the front, if it was just a 4-man lineup going straight towards the tower, it's much easier for Suning Gaming to focus on the defense. Orianna Ball suddenly is just right in front of herself, clearing the wave and threatening for an ulti. Didn't have that opportunity because of how well placed he was.
And tower falls as well. And Phage, honestly, will be my MVP. If TOP win this game, like, it has to go to Phage.
100%.
He's done so much work for TOP, like zoning away, as you said, all the reasons, plus the fact that like those two crucial headbutts he landed on the Shen. And you have to remember, this is Phage subbing in as well. Like, yes, he was kind of on the B roster last year when we saw TOP, but it was also against Cat, and Cat has almost always been the starter for TOP, and he was also the shot caller. So if you're Phage coming in, you have pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah, from Dan Gaming going into TOP, sure, he's seen his fair points of play.
Yeah.
Cat's gotten far more play on the
Playtime.
field, and at that being said, Cat is known for a shot caller, right? So why would you take your shot caller out? A lot of the times you can forgive poor mechanics just because you have leadership. But that's one problem with TOP. Even with Cat, they've been lacking leadership, lacking direction. Take him out, see what you can do with Phage, and it's been working out at least in this game.
Yeah, apparently quite a lot, but it's not too little too late. This is still in their hands, still in TOP's hands to try and win this game, win this series, and still try and make a playoffs run, try and get that 4th spot. They are going to be competing a lot against a lot of strong teams. You've got the likes of Billy Billy Gaming, even WE around that area as well. And who even knows, the wildcard of OMG? Yes, they've been slumping recently, but they could just randomly take a game from you. So there's multiple landmines in the way of them, but it does start here.
One thing about this one, of course, now being back in the Eastern Conference, the next opponent for TOP is Rogue Warriors. So we're talking about the 3 major teams on the Eastern Conference. Rogue Warriors, Invictus Gaming, RNG, all of them.
They're on the Eastern Conference. That's even worse.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, no.
I was trying to say on this one because, like, yeah, sure, if you're in the Western Conference, you can take these victories against, like, a slumping Snake or something. But you're going up against the Eastern Conference. Like, this is tough for TOP because they have to have a real miracle run.
Okay, well, I don't want to plan the funeral just yet, but that's significantly worse than I was realizing. Yep, definitely agree with that one, Raz.
Mortaring the suit. It's going to be a nice 2-piece.
But for now, TOP looking towards this Baron, actually turning into a bit of a 50-50 here. Miasma onto Hacker, but it's a bit early. Can he get over the wall? Woo! It's the steal from Hacker! No! Not like this, TOP! Don't make the 50-50.
That was so unfortunate. Alistar was so close to being in the right. In fact, if he was inside the pit, just to knock Hacker out, that would have been better. So that was I would say that was the first mistake that you see out of Phage. keep yourself in position first. Keep yourself above the 3K mark. In fact, maybe they did, and I think the Orianna ulti bursted it. No, it was well below 2,000. So the burst did come through with the Orianna ulti, but it was still 2,000 HP on the Baron. They should have kept it at 3K, baited Hacker in. It didn't happen. Hacker gets that opportunity along with the Knight burst on ult.
There's also another world, right, where TOP are able to like strangle the Vision, push them back, and go for a safer Baron, but TOP, I feel like the Dan instincts kicked in at the wrong moment. 35 minutes into the game, it's like, we've got to go Baron, it's up. And now it'll go to Suning Gaming, keeping them alive for another day and buying more time for them to start scaling up. They have an Orianna, they have a Caitlyn.
Yeah, that's the strongest piece of footage TOP can have going back, honestly, if they were ever go back to their own gaming house. Just looking back on it, because there's so many options for Alistar. Alistar is great for setting up fights. He can be in a flank position, come up, and get a strong headbutt pulverized combo, followed up by a jump on Chocho. You know, there is great opportunities to force a fight with that Baron setup, or you're like, okay, we're going to be burning it. How about Alistar just punts the Hacker away from it? That's great too. We've seen so many variations of it, but we didn't get to see one in that one.
We saw the Miasma go over the wall, but it was pretty early, and by that time, Hacker's able to walk away from it. So in the end, there isn't still another objective on the board, but this time, Suning Gaming are able to actually push up, utilize these Caitlyn traps, and actually start zoning TOP away, because this is the second Baron, so they actually have more combat stats coming in here.
Yeah, we're nearing the 40-minute mark, which means that Caitlyn, no matter how poorly the early game went for her, she just farmed well. 3 crit items for herself, i.e. rapid fire canning and static shiv, and she's got herself Last Whisper as well. Don't sit on those traps. Just don't do it. So the trap placements coming through means that it's so much harder for TOP to even try to go for the tag.
Elder Dragon right here. Still going to be the major objective for the two teams. TOP are just trying to approach, but even from behind the wall, Hacker is able to zone them away. Traps are continuously being replaced by Caitlyn right here.
Sad life.
Yep, sad life. And there's also a big mini wave in the top lane as well that someone from TOP will have to address in the next, I don't know, 20 to 15 seconds.
What are you doing, Mark?
Not entirely sure. He is split up from the team. So is Shower, however, as he pushes in the bot tower. Probably just wants the free standing gold. That is the Alta turret right here.
They need to swap up their alignments, maybe get Marin topside. He has his TP fairly soon. If they can stall out the Elder Dragon long enough, that TP means something, but he's on the bottom side of the map, which means that it's so much harder to switch up your lane assignments.
Well, this is awkward. Marin underneath his tower, but it's an outer turret. Barely does anything. Uses the ultimate, flashes away. He still has the Guardian Angel, but he is low himself. What's the rest of TOP doing? Are they moving on to the Dragon? Nope, they're backing away, but getting some advanced wards down.
Chocho's pushing mid lane. That's actually really good for him. If Gnar can come back into the map, maybe clear top side, and it's onto Goong and XX to stop them from getting Elder, they do have TP to deal with it. So I think TOP are in a really good position, regardless of the bottom lane play, to defend this Elder Dragon.
They can defend top, they can push mid, and Suning Gaming move towards the mid lane as well to try and defuse this push coming out from the Tristana. And more importantly, neither team is able to get their grubby mitts on to the Elder Dragon itself. So Suning Gaming will have to go back to the area, set up Vision once more. The TOP, they actually have the Vision over Elder right now.
Yeah, that was interesting decision making coming out of Suning Gaming, because the vision control was there from TOP. They even had the flank position from Marin. Marin was in a decent position just because he didn't have TP. It was a rough call for him just because he needed to be bottom lane. He didn't have TP. Went top lane when he finally had it. So it was on Suning Gaming to either rush the Elder Dragon to force TOP in the area and then just back away. So just play the game as long as possible around that river. So that top lane tower does die to the main lane. That's the only thing they can do. Obviously, it's hard to kind of call it because they thought they can get the kill on Marin. I actually thought they could too.
It looked like it, but Marin did play that situation very well. With the ultimate, with the flash, so doesn't have that summon, unfortunately, but still has his Guardian Angel, which is going to be a big deal coming into this one. What comes down once more by Marin, maintaining control over this Elder Dragon area. And Suning Gaming don't have the Baron anymore, so won't be able to look for the push. It's slightly harder for them to push up towards the Elder Dragon itself. But they are still moving into the mid lane. They're still making themselves known so they can rotate to it just in case TOP look towards that objective. And for now, it's just a bit of stare down, bit of a stare up in the river between both teams.
Yeah, just because Suning Gaming constantly have the positioning on TOP. I actually don't know how they can contest this unless the first heal.
Marin's coming in from the bottom side, but it's a split team. It will be the pincer coming out from TOP. 3 in the bot, 2 in the top. Suning Gaming moving towards the lesser of the two foes. Moving towards Chocho and Phage, the bottom laners who are in the mid lane right now, but this gauge comes out from Suning.
The fear of having two in the top with just Alistar and Tristana is just that if this Tristana gets picked out by a flash taunt from Yoon or a Sedge ulti, then it could be lights out. Honestly, even if he has QSS, and I want to see with the items if that's the case, does have the ability to be able to get out of it with Mercurial Scimitar, with this follow-up CC that comes through. So burning your QSS or burning your Mercurial Scimitar in this position is pretty poor.
TOP, they've actually started the Elder Egg right now. It's already down to half. They're burning it so quickly. They have a Tristana and they have a Cassiopeia. It's already down. Now they can look for the turn on to Suning Gaming. Shadow Dash comes away, but it actually seems like Suning Gaming who want the turn right now. They've found Phage. He flashes away. Unbreakable Will is running. And Marin runs into the pit. The recall comes through. TOP moving to the boss side of the map. They're actually looking for a rotation into the mid lane Suning.
Just such quick clear on the neutral objective. On that Elder Dragon, the Earth Dragon's giving them that help, but my god, Cassiopeia does it so much better.
I mean, two massive carries right now, and Cassiopeia just completed a big item and just picked up a full Seraphis Embrace, it looked like. So that's going to be huge for TOP moving forwards. Essentially a full item Cassiopeia right here, excluding control wards. And now Baron's going to be spawning in 20 seconds with Elder Dragon active.
Yeah, so that's not going to stop anytime soon. Just being able to fight her over these like large river areas where flanking is going to be a major issue.
Chase comes to Marin. We've also got a teleport in from Yoon. They really want this. Flash comes forward, misses the flash taunt, and Marin turns around, laughs, and probably hits the blast cone. Now he's just going to walk it off.
What sucks about that one is that Xiao Owl flashed late, so Shen actually spawned far behind him, so his flash taunt just fell short.
Really unlucky in there. Phage on the backside doesn't have the Unbreakable Will, so this could be a pick coming in for Suning, and will indeed be. It's a squishy Alistar without the ultimate, but Marin will take the opportunity to push in the bottom lane. Is that double Barons up cannon minions? It's gone. I mean, it's just so much damage. The rest of the team from Suning now coming into the bottom lane, but I feel like the damage is done. An inhibitor tower and the inhibitor itself. We'll see if they can get Marin, but he's also just leading on a goose chase in their own base right now. They'll lock him down, put him into the Guardian Angel. The team pushing up in the mid lane and to the top lane. Marin should eventually die. He's got into Megaform. Finally he drops, but got so much for TOP.
That's what happens when you have two Bruce Banners in one wave. It actually makes no sense. So that was fast. Tower, inhibitor. Sure, you lose one Baron, but the brunt of the team is going to come back fairly soon. Suning Gaming lost a lot off that.
I mean, bot tower is also one of the worst for Baron, but I mean, Baron's just already been taken by TOPs, so now with the Elder Dragon and the Baron in hand, Elder Dragon should be wearing off very shortly, but still, TOP are just kind of extending this time where they're powerful and can start to push in multiple waves.
The one benefit of getting the kill is, of course, the death timers coming up. 25 seconds means that TOP, if they ever try and form up with 4 people, they will just get engaged upon. So it will at least kill a lot of time, just a few time right here. So on a siege. So right now, TOP is just setting up 2 waves at the same time, mid and top lane. So when they do decide to commit with Gnar being back up, that it's going to be a little bit easier for them to actually pick up on the side lane.
Able to push up the top side. Marin's got teleport as well, and if he gets access to a mini wave or anything he can hit, basically, he can start charging up his rage bar. Suning Gaming trying to get ahead of the minion wave and try and kill it before it hits the tower. There is a cannon minion here and a banner ready to go for XX and Marin. He may actually just place it in mid lane though, Marin, if there is a cannon wave coming in.
They just need some time. Gnar's taking the long route towards this mid lane turret. I think he's bannered up the mid lane creep. Would have to see if he's done that. With the bottom lane wave crashing as well, full focus is going to be on mid and bottom lane for TOP to try and group up top.
Yeah, actually not. Actually not using the banner right there. He doesn't have the Baron himself because he just died, but he'd need someone to come with him to try and actually buff it up. Bot tower, or bot side, is able to be responded to by Knight, who hit it pretty handily on this Orianna. There's a decent amount of AP now, but here comes the engage from Phage, and here comes the disengage from Phage. Wasn't really feeding it. Bottom side, though, Marin is getting 1v1 by Knight. He's going to heal himself to try and look for the speed up and gun down this Gnar. Marin will go back to base right here, engaged on the top side, taking this opportunity to blow up Hacker. The front line's down, and Fury can't step up.
Suning Gaming as a team are just trying to find windows to work as a team. Knight had that opportunity pushing down Marin on the bottom side of the map to rotate towards his team, but by the time he's moved, Hacker's already gone.
Marin gets a chance to push in the bottom side, but it's a 4 versus 5 attempt now from Suning Gaming to try and keep their base alive. Top side of the map is down, and it's only the middle inhibitor tower with a minion wave crashing that's about to come in here. Fury zoning away the last remaining member, that's Phage. And Yoon, he misses the Shadow Dash, and down goes Fury. It wasn't even like he was even there in the first place. Xiao gets separated from his team. Great headbutt in from Phage. And Suni Gaming, they'll back up behind the Nexus turrets, but that will be triple inhibitors down.
Yeah, and you already have 2 waves of super minions coming through, both bottom lane and top lane. It's going to be really rough on the side of Suni Gaming to find any bit of defense with 40 seconds on Fury coming back up.
This has got to be a hero defense at that. Knight and Yoon are the only members remaining here. And there will be another engage right towards the spawn pad. Hackers respawn, but Yoon, he's low. He's finished up by Goong. It's back to a 2 versus 5. The Nexus turrets are down. The Nexus itself is exposed. And it's not going to happen. Even Phage is able to dive the spawn pad. And TOP, they keep their playoff dreams alive.
And it started with the lanes this time around. You get Marin ahead, and he'll keep you ahead. So the dives went topside, working so well for the team. My God, I wonder if he gets Gnar for a 3rd time in a row.
I mean, to be honest, he picks it every single game. So at some point, you'd have to feel that they would take it away, force him onto something different. But then again, maybe it's a known quantity. Maybe it's just like, we know how to play against Gnar, but we don't want to play against a Kennen. So it's kind of a difficult situation to be in. But Suning Gaming did drop that game. It's now 1-1, and we'll move to a game 3.
That was fun. That was fun. Even though there were criticisms coming down on the side of TOP, their team fighting just looked so good. Cassiopeia worked so well for Goong, and when he was finding himself in danger, Phage really helped him out. So just on the side of Marin, Goong, and Phage, they really helped out the lackluster early game coming out of XX.
It was a unlucky early game coming in from XX, multiple plays that just didn't go well, but it was everyone else who really managed to step up in terms of those outplays, right? Like, you look towards a team like TOP, and it's like, well, you're in the LPL for a reason. We've seen you pick up wins against some very great teams in the LPL. Well, how did you get those wins? Usually it was because they managed to outplay in those specific circumstances they get thrown to them. Those skirmishes, maybe they go well for them, but most likely they don't because the setup isn't there from TOP. The other team has the setup, and more likely than not, they pick up the win in those fights.
Yep, so the setup here, a lot of times, I think TOP were still getting pushed out of these objectives. Oftentimes, Sinning Gaming were the first ones to the Elder Dragon and the Baron, but ultimately, the win condition for TOP has been in the past and was in this game was just to find themselves in team fights. Because if they can execute on the team fights, if they're far enough ahead in the early game, which this time around they were gifted of those ganks, I think they were doing quite well for themselves. The team fights were working so well for them. Marin was getting great flanks off. So keep putting him on those compositions, keep finding himself on the Gnar. He has a good rumble too, and I hope we get to see that.
Yeah, that and Phage is an absolute hero. So he is definitely our MVP. We're going to send it over to the downstairs to take a look at that TOP win.
I feel like if the LCK is the UFC, that we just witnessed the Jello wrestling of all games. That was one of the craziest. I'm just going to be honest, it was pretty much a fiesta for like 99% of it. Very back and forth. Very entertaining Jello wrestling. Would go see on a Saturday night, just saying. And luckily I get to be here for a Monday night one. But Rusty, what did I just watch?
You witnessed a level 1 and a complete mental breakdown from a level 1 onwards. And that's the thing, like, level 1s as a concept are not something that you often see, and they're not something that have been seen for a significant amount of time in this split, only in the past, and even then it was 5-man cohesive invades. This is just legitimately everyone using summoner spells to go forwards to make plays, and ultimately this really affects how you play the game out from that point onwards, because no one sits there in an environment like this and continues to play games out like that. Frosk, I know you mentioned as a coach that sometimes the games are just over if that's how a level 1 starts.
Oh, real talk. Any team that I've ever coached, and I've coached 3 different teams at various just EU, NA, both in the challenger scene as well as the professional and international scene. If that ever happens in a scrim, the scrim is dead. You're not playing that one through.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the weird part about that level 1, right? Like, it affects everything that happens afterwards. You don't know when you hit level 2 as efficiently. Your Caitlyn's gone back and has to recall.
Missed
That's
like 3
tragic.
creeps.
Yeah, missed just a set amount of creeps. So in your brain now, you're like, when do I hit 2? Oh, they're already going on me. It's Alistar, Tristana. Things like that just happen on a dime, and you're not sure how to react to it, so the early game was super just chaotic.
Yeah, and speaking of the early game being chaotic, I do want to go back to the draft phase, you know, kind of back to this idea of a roadmap, because you had some, you know, issues with TOP's drafting.
Yeah, the first thing that you'll note, of course, is the Cassiopeia being picked by Goong. I like the Cassiopeia, but banning away the Rise from Knight before picking the Cassiopeia is a curious one to me, because ultimately, Orianna is meant to be good in the Cassiopeia. Now, level 1 changed the outcome of that laning phase, of course, things shifted, but ultimately they picked themselves a champion they wanted, which is a kill lane, and then blind picked it into what could be a losing lane and banned away the thing that they want to pick it into. Things like that happen with TOP's drafts all the time, and I feel like they almost respect their opponent's draft too much, let alone what they're going to pick for themselves, and force themselves into these weird rabbit holes. Marin getting the last pick of Gnar, just picking Gnar anyway. He'd first pick it if he was picking for himself. They hide it till later, but everyone knows what he's doing. Like, TOP, it's very obvious what their plans are.
Yeah, but what wasn't necessarily so obvious was some of that itemization from Gnar. So it's not the first time that we've seen Marin go for a Zeal. Normally he does go for the rapid fire cannon.
Yeah.
This time around went for the Hurricane, can stack up that Mega Gnar faster. But walk me through some of the mentality of this itemization, because I'm not Marin, I don't want to judge him heavily, but I do have a lot of questions.
Yeah, we've seen it in the LCK before as well. So Hurricane Gnar has existed. Of course, it was a bottom of the table team that played it there as well. So it's not something you will often see. My mantra behind it is, of course, it's been mentioned on the cast, you stack up Mega Gnar faster when you're hitting 3 different people at the same time. So that helps you stay relevant in Mega Gnar. Of course, Gnar does get tuckered out and he can't actually contribute if he's just turned from Mega back to Mini. But in a team fight, you can teleport in, you don't have to focus on your Gnar bar. That's a good thing that you get from it. But at the same time, why have Hurricane and do that when you could have an adaptive helm and be in the team fight for a longer period of time and be much more relevant? If I'm a Scion and I'm into that Gnar and he's just picked up Hurricane, you're like, yes, 3,000 wasted gold. I'm relevant even though I'm 60 CS down.
Well, he definitely also did commit to the split push. He was like having the Hurricane, yeah, it gives him the Mega Gnar, and then he has the Banner of Command. But the thing that you said that was interesting to me there is that having the Hurricane as a split pusher is actually bad against Scion because he doesn't want to be in Mega Gnar for that matchup.
It means that he can't bully the Scion at all, right? Usually you'd see like a Blade of the Ruin King from the Gnar if he wants to commit to a split push. It's single target, but because you're stacking up the Mega Gnar bar faster, you can't commit to continued harass on the Scion. So yes, if you're Xiao, you're like, well, this is exactly what I wanted. I can sustain through that 1v1 fine. But as you mentioned, it does split push faster.
Yeah, so that was some of the weird itemization. The early game couldn't quite fit together, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of the mid-game and later game fights when it felt like the teams finally got the pieces together. We went for a big 5v5, and surprise, surprise, it was around the Baron.
Yeah, definitely the case. Now, Phage really, in my mind, was the MVP in this game as well. His ability to engage at the correct moments was standout, and this is one of those big fights. So Marin, everyone is running at Fury, and he does very well to navigate through most of that
Survives
fight.
for so long there.
He's living, but he's not doing damage, and this is that final point where Phage will come in. The resets are there, Tristana's jumping everywhere, and ultimately TOP, they're running forwards, they're getting kills, but even they're not sure where it's going to end. They wanted the Baron, but they're between 2 turrets that are still standing just to try and win the team fight first. It's very disjointed.
Yeah, and they did manage to get the Baron. Of course, one of them was stolen away from them. And kind of the last thing that I really want to touch on this game that I found very interesting was the use of aggro from Xiao to grab it away from the Banner Cannon, or the Banner Canner, and then deny a lot of the siege potential, which forced TOP in this situation that they had to get multiple Barons to even end the game. So, like right here, Xiao has the targeted focus, and as long as he doesn't step behind the tower, the Banner Canner is never going to target the structure.
Yeah, even if he pushes it away, he continues to want to stand in front of it. And Sion's best case scenario, of course, they pick off Marin in the end there. They're trying to force Marin to step up. If he's standing between the turret and the cannon minion and it's hitting him, well, then he just stays there. Marin wants to step up. He's a low-range top laner, so things like that can work. And we've heard millions of different ways that you want to deal with it. You know, you get the minion dematerializer, that might work. Syndra, you could deal with it as well. You can pick it up and throw it away. But this is one of those unique cases where you can just be a tank, just be there early, be prepared for it, and tank it.
Of course, Marin is going to pick up our MVP because while that Banner Canner didn't work out, he also then immediately ran it down bottom with 2 of them by his side as well as that Hurricane. So, weird build, you can say what you want about it, but it ended up working, and now TOP bring us to 1-1 in this series.
Yeah, of course, Marin showing once again why he is actually one of the best top laners. Even though he's come in late in the split, he's helped TOP find a lot of their victories that they've found respectively, and it's all on the back of him.
So yes, it will be a miracle run, but it is not too little too late for TOP. We will find out the conclusion right after this.